Hawaii is an island state of the United States in Pacific Ocean 3,200 kilometers southwest of U.S. mainland. One of the two non-contiguous U.S. states, alongside Alaska, it is the only state not on the North American mainland. The only state that is an archipelago and only state in the tropics. Consists of 137 volcanic islands that comprise almost the entire Hawaiian archipelago. Exception outside the state is Midway Atoll. Spanning 2,400 kilometers, the state is physiographically and ethnologically part of Polynesian subregion of Oceania. Hawaii's ocean coastline is consequently the fourth longest in the U.S. at 1,210 kilometers. The 8 main islands from northwest to southeast are Niho, Kauai, Oahu, Molokai, Lanai, Kahului, Maui, and Hawaii. After which the state is named. The latter is called Big Island or Hawaii Island to avoid confusion with the state or archipelago. The uninhabited northwestern Hawaiian Islands make up most of Papahanaumokuia Marine National Monument, the largest protected area in the U.S. and fourth largest in the world. Of the 50 U.S. states, Hawaii is the fourth smallest in land area and 11th least populous, but with 1.4 million residents, it ranks 13th in population density. 2/3 of Hawaii residents live on Oahu, home to the state's capital and largest city, Honolulu. Hawaii is one of the most demographically diverse U.S. states, owing to its central location in the Pacific and over 2 centuries of migration. As one of only 7 majority-minority states, it has the only Asian American plurality, the largest Buddhist community and largest proportion of multiracial people in the U.S. Consequently, Hawaii is a unique melting pot of North American and East Asian cultures in addition to its indigenous Hawaiian heritage. Settled by Polynesians between 1000 and 1200 CE, Hawaii was home to numerous independent chiefdoms. In 1778, British explorer James Cook was the first known non-Polynesian to arrive at the archipelago. Early British influence is reflected in the state flag, which bears a Union Jack. An influx of European and American explorers, traders, and whalers soon arrived, leading to the decimation of the once isolated indigenous community through the introduction of diseases such as syphilis, tuberculosis, smallpox, and measles. The native Hawaiian population declined from between 300,000 and 1 million to less than 40,000 by 1890. Hawaii became a unified, internationally recognized kingdom in 1810, remaining independent until American and European businessmen overthrew the monarchy in 1893. This led to annexation by the U.S. in 1898. As a strategically valuable U.S. territory, Hawaii was attacked by Japan on the 7th of December, 1941, which brought global and historical significance and contributed to America's entry into World War II. Hawaii is the most recent state to join the Union on the 21st of August, 1959. In 1993, U.S. government formally apologized for its role in overthrow of Hawaii's government, which spurred the Hawaiian sovereignty movement and led to ongoing efforts to obtain redress for the indigenous population. Historically dominated by a plantation economy, Hawaii remains major agricultural exporter due to its fertile soil and uniquely tropical climate in the U.S. Its economy gradually diversified since mid-20th century, with tourism and military defense becoming the 2 largest sectors. The state attracts visitors, surfers, and scientists with its diverse natural scenery, warm tropical climate, abundant public beaches, oceanic surroundings, active volcanoes, and clear skies on the Big Island. Hawaii hosts United States Pacific Fleet, the world's largest naval command, as well as 75,000 employees of the Defense Department. Hawaii's isolation results in one of the highest costs of living in the U.S. There are 8 main Hawaiian islands. 7 are inhabited, but only 6 are open to tourists and locals. Niho is privately managed by brothers Bruce and Keith Robinson, access restricted to those who have permission. This island is also home to native Hawaiians. Access to uninhabited Kahului Island is also restricted. In addition to the 8 main islands, the state has many smaller islands and islets. Kaula is a small island near Niho. The northwestern Hawaiian Islands is a group of 9 small, older islands northwest of Kauai that extends from Nihoa to Kure Atoll. These are remnants of once much larger volcanic mountains. Across the archipelago are 130 small rocks and islets such as Molokai made up of either volcanic or marine sedimentary rock. Hawaii's tallest mountain, Mauna Kea, is 4,205 meters above sea level. It is taller than Mount Everest if measured from the base of the mountain, which lies on the floor of Pacific Ocean and rises about 10,200 meters. Hawaiian Islands were formed by volcanic activity initiated at an undersea magma source called Hawai'i Hotspot. The process continued to build islands. The tectonic plate beneath Pacific Ocean continually moves northwest and the hotspot remains stationary, slowly creating new volcanoes. Because of the hotspot's location, all active land volcanoes are on the southern half of Hawaii Island. The newest volcano, Kamehua Kanaloa, is south of the coast of Hawaii Island. The last volcanic eruption outside Hawaii Island occurred at Haleakala on Maui before late 18th century, possibly hundreds of years earlier. In 1790, Claw exploded. It is the deadliest eruption known to have occurred in modern era in what is now the United States. Up to 5,405 warriors and their families marching on Claw were killed by the eruption. Volcanic activity and subsequent erosion have created impressive geological features. Hawaii Island has the second highest point among the world's islands. On the volcano's flanks, slope instability generated damaging earthquakes and related tsunamis, particularly in 1868 and 1975. Catastrophic debris avalanches on the Ocean Island volcano's submerged flanks have created steep cliffs. Claw erupted in May 2018, opening 22 fissure vents on its eastern rift zone. The Leilani Estates and Lanipuna Gardens are within this territory. The eruption destroyed at least 36 buildings and, coupled with lava flows and sulfur dioxide fumes, necessitated the evacuation of more than 2,000 inhabitants from their neighborhoods. The islands of Hawaii are distant from other land habitats and life arrived by wind, waves, ocean currents, and wings, birds, insects, seeds that carried on their feathers. Hawaii has more endangered species and lost higher percentage of endemic species than any other U.S. state. The endemic plant Brigamia now requires hand pollination because its natural pollinator is presumed to be extinct. The two species of Brigamia, B. rocki and B. incinus, are represented in the wild by around 120 individual plants. To ensure that these plants set seed, biologists rappel down 910 meters cliffs to brush pollen onto their stigmas. Hawaii has tropical climate. Temperatures and humidity tend to be less extreme because of near-constant trade winds from the east. Summer highs reach 31 degrees Celsius during the day with lows of 24 degrees Celsius at night. Winter day temperatures around 28 degrees Celsius. At low elevation, they seldom dip below 18 degrees Celsius at night. Snow, not usually associated with tropics, falls at 4,200 meters on Mauna Kea and Mauna Loa on Hawaii Island in some winter months. Snow rarely falls on Haleakala. Mount Waialeale on Kauai has second highest average annual rainfall on Earth. Most of Hawaii experiences only two seasons. Dry season runs from May to October and wet season from October to April. The warmest temperature recorded in the state in Pahala on the 27th of April, 1931 at 38 degrees Celsius, tied with Alaska as the lowest record high temperature observed in a U.S. state. Hawaii's record low temperature is -11 degrees Celsius in May 1979, on the summit of Mauna Kea. The Aboriginal culture of Hawaii is Polynesian. Hawaii represents the northernmost extension of the vast Polynesian Triangle of the South and Central Pacific Ocean. While traditional Hawaiian culture remains as vestiges in modern Hawaiian society, there are reenactments of the ceremonies and traditions throughout the islands. Some of these cultural influences, including popularity, in greatly modified form, of lao and hula, are strong enough to affect the wider United States. Cuisine of Hawaii is a fusion of many foods brought by immigrants to the Hawaiian Islands, including the earliest Polynesians and native Hawaiian cuisine, and American, Chinese, Filipino, Japanese, Korean, Polynesian, Puerto Rican, and Portuguese origins. Plant and animal food sources are imported from around the world for agricultural use in Hawaii. Poi, a starch made by pounding taro, is one of the traditional foods of the islands. Many local restaurants serve the ubiquitous plate lunch, which features 2 scoops of rice, a simplified version of American macaroni salad and a variety of toppings including hamburger patties, a fried egg, and gravy of a loco moco, Japanese-style tonkatsu or the traditional Lao favorites, including klua pork and lau lau. Spam musubi is an example of the fusion of ethnic cuisine that developed on the islands among the mix of immigrant groups and military personnel. In the 1990s, a group of chefs developed Hawaii regional cuisine as a contemporary fusion cuisine. Some key customs and etiquette in Hawaii are when visiting a home, it is good manners to bring a small gift for one's host, for example a dessert. Thus, parties are usually in the form of potlucks. Most locals take their shoes off before entering a home. It is customary for Hawaiian families regardless of ethnicity, to hold a luau to celebrate a child's first birthday. It is also customary at Hawaiian weddings, especially at Filipino weddings, for the bride and groom to do a money dance, pandango. Print media and local residents recommend that one refer to non-Hawaiians as locals of Hawaii or people of Hawaii. Tourism is an important part of Hawaiian economy as it represents 1/4 of the economy. According to Hawaii Tourism 2019 Annual Visitor Research Report, a total of 10,386,673 visitors arrived in 2019, which increased 5% from previous year with expenditures of almost $18 billion. In 2019, tourism provided over 216,000 jobs statewide and contributed more than $2 billion in tax revenue. Due to mild year-round weather, tourist travel is popular throughout the year. Tourists across the globe visited Hawaii in 2019 with over 1 million tourists from the US East, almost 2 million Japanese tourists and almost 500,000 Canadian tourists. It was with statehood in 1959 that Hawaii tourism industry began to grow. Hawaii hosts numerous cultural events. The annual Merry Monarch Festival is an international hula competition. The Hawaii International Film Festival is the premier film festival for Pacific Rim cinema. Honolulu hosts the state's long-running LGBT film festival, the Rainbow Film Festival. A system of state highways encircles each main island. Only Oahu has federal highways and is the only area outside the contiguous 48 states signed interstate highways. Narrow, winding roads and congestion in populated places can slow traffic. Each major island has a public bus system. Honolulu International Airport, which shares runways with the adjacent Hickam Field, is the major commercial aviation hub of Hawaii. The commercial aviation airport offers intercontinental service to North America, Asia, Australia, and Oceania. Hawaiian Airlines and Mokulele Airlines use jets to provide services between the large airports in Honolulu, Lu, Kahulu, Kona, and Hilo. These airlines also provide air freight services between the islands. On the 30th of May, 2017, the airport was officially renamed as Daniel K. Inouye International Airport after U.S. Senator Daniel K. Inouye. Until air passenger services began in the 1920s, private boats were the sole means of traveling between the islands. Sea Flight operated hydrofoils between the major islands in the mid-1970s. The Hawaii Superferry operated between Oahu and Maui between December 2007 and March 2009, with additional routes planned for other islands. Protests and legal problems over environmental impact statements ended the service, though the company operating Superferry has expressed a wish to recommence ferry services in the future. Currently there is a passenger ferry service in Maui County between Lanai and Maui which does not take vehicles. A passenger ferry to Molokai ended in 2016. Currently Norwegian Cruise Lines and Princess Cruises provide passenger cruise ship services between the larger islands. At one time Hawaii had a network of railroads on each of the larger islands that transported farm commodities and passengers. Most were 914mm narrow gauge systems, but there were some 762mm gauge on some of the smaller islands. The standard gauge in the US is 1,435mm. By far the largest railroad was Oahu Railway and Land Company that ran lines from Honolulu across the western and northern part of Oahu. The OR&L was important for moving troops and goods during World War II. Traffic on this line was busy enough for signals to be used to facilitate movement of trains and require wigwag signals at some railroad crossings for the protection of motorists. The main line was officially abandoned in 1947, although part of it was bought by the US Navy and operated until 1970. 21 kilometers of track remain. Preservationists occasionally run trains over a portion of this line. Skyline is an elevated passenger rail line on Oahu, built to relieve highway congestion. It opened for service in 2023. Hawaii is one of 2 US states, along with Texas, that were internationally recognized sovereign nations before becoming US states. The Kingdom of Hawaii was sovereign from 1810 until 1893, when resident American and European capitalists and landholders overthrew the monarchy. Hawaii was an independent republic from 1894 until the 12th of August, 1898 officially became US territory. Hawaii was admitted as a US state on the 21st of August, 1959. Date of human discovery and habitation of Hawaiian Islands is subject of academic debate. Early archaeological studies suggested that Polynesian explorers from Marquesas Islands or Society Islands may have arrived as early as 3rd century CE. Some archaeologists and historians think it was a later wave of immigrants from Tahiti around 1100 CE who introduced a new line of high chiefs, kapu system, practice of human sacrifice and building of heiau. This later immigration is detailed in Hawaiian mythology, Mulelo, about Paro. Other authors say there is no archaeological or linguistic evidence of a later influx of Tahitian settlers and that Paro regarded as a myth. More recent archaeological studies further suggest that the first settlement of Hawaii was not until around 900 to 1200 CE. The island's history is marked by a slow, steady growth in population and size of the chiefdoms, which grew to encompass whole islands. Local chiefs called alii ruled their settlements and launched wars to extend their influence and defend their communities from predatory rivals. Ancient Hawaii was a caste-based society, much like that of Hindus in India. Population growth facilitated by ecological and agricultural practices that combined upland agriculture, manuka, ocean fishing, makai, fish ponds, and gardening systems. These systems were upheld by spiritual and religious beliefs like lokahi that linked cultural continuity with the health of natural world. According to Hawaiian scholar Mililani Trask, lokahi symbolizes the greatest of the traditions, values, and practices of our people. There are 3 points in the triangle: the creator, Akua; the peoples of the earth, Kanoka Maoli; the land, the Aina. These 3 things all have a reciprocal relationship. From 1565 to 1815, Spanish trading ships, or galleons, crossed the Pacific along a route from Acapulco in New Spain, modern Mexico, to Manila in the Philippines Islands. They made this trip once or twice yearly using a route which was kept secret to protect the Spanish trade monopoly against competing powers. Some sources speculate that sightings of or interaction with Hawaii must have occurred. In 1743, British Commodore George Anson captured a Spanish galleon on which he found a chart of the Pacific that depicted a group of islands at the same latitude as Hawaiian Islands but with a longitude 10 degrees to the east. One of these islands is labeled La Mesa, the table. This is conjectured to be Hawaii Island, since this agrees very well with the appearance of Mauna Loa when seen at a great distance. Many scholars refuted claims of Spanish knowledge of Hawaii during this period. However, based on accounts from native Hawaiian oral tradition, Oscar Spate leaves open the possibility of one-way contact and that it is likely that Spanish castaways reached Hawaii and survived. In January 1778, British Captain James Cook encountered the Hawaiian Islands serendipitously while crossing the Pacific during his 3rd voyage of exploration. This marked the first documented contact by a European explorer with Hawaii. Cook named the archipelago the Sandwich Islands in honor of his sponsor John Montagu, 4th Earl of Sandwich. Cook returned to the Hawaiian Islands in 1779 to resupply and overwinter, anchoring in Kealakakua off Hawaii Island for 1 month. Relations with the local people were peaceful, then deteriorated, and Cook was among those killed when violence broke out between the British and local Hawaiians. After Cook, Hawaii was not visited by any foreign ships for 7 years, but after 1786, visits became increasingly frequent. At the end of 18th century, maritime fur trade developed between the northwest coast of North America and Asia, bringing the ships of many nations to North Pacific Ocean. Hawaiian Islands became established as convenient source of supplies and destination for overwintering, not only for fur traders but also ships engaged in general cross-Pacific commerce. Historian Ralph Kuykendall has described the impact of these foreign visitors on the hitherto isolated Hawaiian Islands as an invasion which little by little overwhelmed the old culture of the islands. Over the decades following the first contact, foreign resident population slowly grew. Foreigners imported iron tools, manufactured items, and household utensils. They also introduced firearms, alcohol, tobacco, non-native plants, and inadvertently, insects previously unknown to the island such as mosquitoes and scorpions. 40 years after Cook's arrival, it is estimated that the native population declined by half and continued to decline throughout the 19th century. During the 1850s, measles killed a fifth of Hawaii's people. During 1780s and early 1790s, Hawaiian Islands were divided among several warring chiefdoms. In 1795, fighting ended when Kamehameha chief, Ali'i, of Hawaii Island, conquered most of the main islands in the archipelago, including Maui and Oahu. Thus, founded Hawaiian Kingdom and House of Kamehameha Dynasty. Kauai with nearby Niho remained independent until 1810 when it joined Hawaiian Kingdom peacefully. After Kamehameha II inherited the throne in 1819, American Protestant missionaries to Hawaii converted many Hawaiians to Christianity. Missionaries argued that one function of missionary work was to civilize and purify perceived heathenism in the New World. According to historical archaeologist James L. Flexner, missionaries provided the moral means to rationalize conquest and wholesale conversion to Christianity. But rather than abandon traditional beliefs entirely, most native Hawaiians merged their indigenous religion with Christianity. Missionaries used their influence to end many traditional practices including kapu system, prevailing legal system before European contact, and heiau or temples to religious figures. Kapu, which typically translates to sacred, refers to social regulations like gender and class restrictions that were based upon spiritual beliefs. Under the missionaries' guidance, laws against gambling, consuming alcohol, dancing hula, breaking Sabbath, and polygamy were enacted. Without kapu system, many temples and priestly statuses were jeopardized, idols were burned, and participation in Christianity increased. When Kamehameha III inherited the throne at age 12, his advisors pressured him to merge Christianity with traditional Hawaiian ways. Under the guidance of his kuhina Nui, his mother and corgent Elizabeth Kahumanu, and British allies, Hawaii turned into a Christian monarchy with the signing of 1840 Constitution. Hiram Bingham I, a prominent Protestant missionary, was a trusted advisor to the monarchy during this period. Other missionaries and their descendants became active in commercial and political affairs, leading to conflicts between the monarchy and its restive American subjects. Missionaries from Roman Catholic Church and Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints were also active in the kingdom, initially converting a minority of native Hawaiian population but later becoming the first and second largest religious denominations on the islands, respectively. Missionaries from each major group administered to the leper colony at Kalaupapa on Molokai, which was established in 1866 and operated well into 20th century. The best known were Father Damien and Mother Marianne Cope, both of whom were canonized in the early 21st century as Roman Catholic saints. The death of the bachelor King Kamehameha V, who did not name an heir, resulted in the popular election of Lunalilo over Kalakaua. Lunalilo died the next year without naming an heir. In 1874, election was contested within the legislature between Kalakaua and Emma, queen consort of Kamehameha IV. After riots broke out, the US and Britain landed troops on the islands to restore order. The Legislative Assembly chose King Kalakaua as monarch by a vote of 39-6 on February 12. In 1887, Kalakaua was forced to sign the 1887 Constitution of Kingdom of Hawaii. Drafted by white businessmen and lawyers, the document stripped the king of much of his authority. It established a property qualification for voting that effectively disenfranchised most Hawaiians and immigrant laborers and favored the wealthier, white elite. As the 1887 Constitution was signed under threat of violence, it is known as Bennett Constitution. King Kalakaua, reduced to a figurehead, reigned until his death in 1891. His sister, Queen Liliuokalani, succeeded him. She was the last monarch of Hawaii. In 1893, Liliuokalani announced plans for a new constitution to proclaim herself an absolute monarch. On the 14th of January, 1893, a group of mostly Euro-American business leaders and residents formed the Committee of Safety to stage a coup d'etat against the kingdom and seek annexation by the United States. U.S. Government Minister John L. Stevens, responding to a request from the Committee of Safety, summoned a company of U.S. Marines. The Queen's soldiers did not resist. After William McKinley won the 1896 U.S. presidential election, advocates pressed to annex the Republic of Hawaii. The previous president, Grover Cleveland, was a friend of Queen Liliuokalani. McKinley was open to persuasion by U.S. expansionists and by annexationists from Hawaii. He met with three non-native annexationists, Lorin A. Thurston, Francis March Hatch, William Ansel Kinney. After negotiations in June 1897, Secretary of State John Sherman agreed to treaty of annexation with these representatives of the Republic of Hawaii. Despite opposition of most native Hawaiians, Newland's resolution was used to annex the Republic to the U.S. It became the territory of Hawaii. The Newlands resolution was passed by the House on the 15th of June 1898 by 209 votes in favor to 91 against, and by the Senate on the 6th of July, 1898, by a vote of 42 to 21. A majority of native Hawaiians opposed annexation, voiced chiefly by Liliuokalani, whom Hawaiian Haunani K. Trask described as beloved and respected by her people. In 1900, Hawaii was granted self-governance and retained Iolani Palace as the territorial capital building. Despite several attempts to become a state, Hawaii remained a territory for 60 years. Plantation owners and capitalists who maintained control through financial institutions such as the Big Five found territorial status convenient because they remained able to import cheap foreign labor. Such immigration and labor practices were prohibited in many states. Puerto Rican immigration to Hawaii began in 1899 when Puerto Rico's sugar industry was devastated by hurricane, causing worldwide shortage of sugar and huge demand for sugar from Hawaii. Hawaiian sugarcane plantation owners began to recruit experienced, unemployed laborers in Puerto Rico. Two waves of Korean immigration to Hawaii occurred in the 20th century. The first wave arrived between 1903 and 1924. The second wave began in 1965 after President Lyndon B. Johnson signed the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965, which removed racial and national barriers and resulted in significantly altering the demographic mix in the U.S. Oahu was the target of a surprise attack on Pearl Harbor by Imperial Japan on the 7th of December, 1941. The attack on Pearl Harbor and other military and naval installations, carried out by aircraft and by midget submarines, brought the United States into World War II. In the 1950s, plantation owners' power was broken by descendants of immigrant laborers who were born in Hawaii and were U.S. citizens. They voted against Hawaii Republican Party, strongly supported by plantation owners. The new majority voted for Democratic Party of Hawaii, which dominated territorial and state politics for more than 40 years. Eager to gain full representation in Congress and Electoral College, residents actively campaigned for statehood. In Washington, there was talk that Hawaii would be a Republican Party stronghold. As a result, admission of Hawaii was matched with the admission of Alaska, which was seen as a Democratic Party stronghold. These predictions proved inaccurate. As of 2017, Hawaii generally votes Democratic, while Alaska typically votes Republican. During the Cold War, Hawaii became an important site for U.S. cultural diplomacy, military training, research, and as a staging ground for the U.S. war in Vietnam. In March 1959, Congress passed the Hawaii Admissions Act, which U.S. President Dwight D. Eisenhower signed into law. The act excluded Palmyra Atoll from statehood. It had been part of the Kingdom and Territory of Hawaii. On the 27th of June, 1959, a referendum asked residents of Hawaii to vote on the statehood bill. 94.3% voted in favor of statehood and 5.7% opposed. The referendum asked voters to choose between accepting the act and remaining U.S. territory. The United Nations Special Committee on Decolonization later removed Hawaii from its list of non-self-governing territories. After attaining statehood, Hawaii quickly modernized through construction and rapidly growing tourism economy. The Hawaii State Constitutional Convention of 1978 created institutions such as Office of Hawaiian Affairs to promote indigenous language and culture. Legacy of annexation on Hawaiian land. In 1897, over 21,000 natives, representing the overwhelming majority of adult Hawaiians, signed anti-annexation petitions in one of the first examples of protest against the overthrow of Queen Liliuokalani's government. Nearly 100 years later, in 1993, 17,000 Hawaiians marched to demand access and control over Hawaiian trust lands and as part of the modern Hawaiian sovereignty movement. Hawaiian trust land ownership and use is still widely contested as a consequence of annexation. According to scholar Winona LaDuke, as of 2015, 95% of Hawaii's land was owned or controlled by just 82 landholders, including over 50% by federal and state governments, as well as the established sugar and pineapple companies.
La